Hello and welcome to That's Not Spit, It's Condensation. I'm Ryan Beach, and today I am joined by Dr. Jordi Albert, who is somebody that I had heard about very briefly with some association with Caleb Hudson with a project that was started, it feels like a couple of years ago now, when I first heard about it, the International Trumpet Research Project or the Research Center. And I heard Jordi's name then and am now kind of excited to have the chance to chat with him, because I believe the things that he has researched have a lot of carryover, or they correlate with things that I'm very interested in understanding. And I think we all really need to understand more deeply as trumpet players so that we can maximize what we're doing. If you don't know Jordi, he is a trumpeter. He has devoted the last 27 years of his life to researching and understanding just how to have high performance on the trumpet and to get those types of successful outcomes people are looking for, and to be somebody who, from what I've read, is quite good at diagnosing problems. Like, you've just developed a lot of knowledge surrounding how to hear people, how to see them, and be able to quickly figure out. And so I hope to pick your brain on how you learned all this stuff. But before we get to that, I appreciate you giving me some of your time to let me chat with you today.
Thank you, Ryan, to invite me here. I'm very happy to be here. This is a good opportunity to share some ideas and some discoveries from the last years. Thank you.
Well, we were talking right before we turned the microphone on, and so it just seems like this would be a good place to start. A little bit about your backstory, how you got interested in doing all of the research that you've ended up doing over the past couple of decades. So maybe we could just kind of start. I guess it's storming there where you are right now. So if we hear some...
It was a perfect time.
So why don't we just start with just some of your backstory? Help us understand where you've been and how you got to where you are now.
I started when I was 7 years old in Spain, in those wind band schools that we have there, still have there. Those schools are great for learning music, because we have a wind band. Some towns has like 3 wind bands in the town. For example, 3,000 people living in a town, and they have 3 wind bands of 150 members. So wow. This specific situation in Valencia, where when I was born, gave me many opportunities, and is giving to many people opportunities to learn music. So I started when I was 7 years old with the trumpet. And when I was 16, maybe a little bit before, I started to develop learning difficulties to play the trumpet. I was in a concert in front of, I don't know, probably 2,000 people or 1,000. And I was playing a polka. I will never forget the name. And the polka was, and everything was going great. But in the bridge, in the middle of the 2 different themes of the polka, I had to play, and I got blocked, like this. And I had never problems. I never had problems with playing the trumpet before. So everything was easy to me to learn the music, to play the trumpet. And this day was very strange, because I couldn't understand what was happening. At the end of the concert, I ended the concert. I tried to finish playing. I don't know how I finished the concert, but I did it. And the last notes were a little bit better, but the sensation after the concert was very bad. My professor at this moment told me, don't worry, it's going to be resolved in the next 15 days. Take a rest. Have you ever heard about this 15 days rest that it's very common to say it when people get overused syndrome or something like this, to say, okay, you have to rest 7 days or 15 days or whatever, and you are going to be safe. And sometimes could be true, but in my case was not. I started to have a very deep problem with the articulation. It started with a triple staccato, tonguing, and then it was transferred to the double tonguing, and then to the single. So to me was, I think, 8 years to resolve this problem.
Wow.
This was my first research because I was studying with great names in the world because I was talented, not the best one, of course. I was just one more of those trumpeter in a small town that can play easy. I was not the best trumpet player or young trumpet player, but I was talented and I was studying with great names from professors from France and Spain, and I went with them and asked, what do you think is happening to me? And because my legato is still being good or very good, they just told me, okay, please play it legato and slurred, and then play it with articulation. And it looked like improving a little bit, but easily I lose it again, everything. So I started to research what was happening in my tongue and what learning the trumpet could mean. And it was 1996. We had the information that we have now. We had no internet, or we had not YouTube. We had internet, but a small amount of information at this time. So it was my empirical research based on the ideas that many professors gave to me at this moment. And I got very interested on understanding what's happening to me, but on understanding what was happening in my body as a human body. And I started to study education at the university, and because this problem, I couldn't access to the conservatory. So I was studying in a kind of middle conservatory, middle school. And I went to the university. I was not too interested on studying education, general education, primary schools, secondary schools, this kind of pedagogy, science, not specific in music. It was more open to different disciplines or different situation of educational situations. And I was not too interested on this, but it was my option before to resolve my problems. And in my career in the university, I started to understand how the brain works when we learn something. Many theories about psychological development, many theories about learning. And I said, oh, wow, that could apply to my case. That could apply to teaching people, because I started to see how the conservatory educational system was so different to the primary school system. Something that in the 90s or at the beginning of the 21st century could be acceptable in the conservatory, like saying you have no talent for the trumpet, was not possible in the primary school. You cannot say you have no talent to play the trumpet, to learn maths to a 9 years old kid, but it was possible to say it to the same 9 years old kid, you have no talent to play the trumpet. It started to make no sense for me, because I was a talented guy and I lost my talent one day in front of 1,000 people.
Yeah.
It had no sense to me at this moment. So I had very good professors in the university. I was very lucky with this. And they were not speaking about trumpet, but I was translating to the trumpet pedagogy, to the trumpet learning, every single thing that I was hearing inside of those rooms. So it was interesting, and it was the way that I started to research on trumpet. After this, the problem got 50% or 60% solved, and I could play everything slurred. And when I had to play triple tonguing, I could do it, not for too long phrases, but I could do it. And I had a good sound, so I could finish my career in trumpet. And then I studied a master in Spain and Cuba. I studied trumpet in Cuba, and because I was interested on playing Latin and jazz music. I studied classical music, but I was very interested. I arrived to Mexico, where I'm living now. I had many opportunities to teach, and I started to see many people with difficulties. And some of those difficulties were the same difficulties that I had in the past. So I was very lucky with my professors when I was in the university, but I was very lucky because I attended many different cases of trumpet players. The way that I diagnose, I prefer to use the word evaluate, because diagnose is more in the medical sphere. Yeah? I prefer to use evaluate because it's the pedagogical word to
Yeah, it makes sense.
And the way that I evaluate is very simple. It's just comparing cases. I have attended probably more than 1,500 cases, and that's a lot. So because this is very easy, because some people when arrive with me says, I have never seen this, but I probably have seen 10 cases of the same problem, or sometimes 100 cases. I have documented in my research 450 cases documented. When I say that I have attended 1,500, it sounds like an exaggeration, because some people I have seen once or twice. But I have worked more than 1 week or more than 1 month, more than 4 lessons with 450 people. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And because I started to have this kind of specialization, this kind of research, the cases that I have attended were at the beginning just learning difficulties. So I have seen many learning difficulties cases. And when I went to teach some workshop or a masterclass, people who arrived to the masterclass usually had learning difficulties. And my first discoveries were basically 2. First one is all the trumpet players had 98% of the trumpet players, professional trumpet players that I had interviewed for my PhD dissertation. I interviewed 108 trumpet players, professional trumpet players, orchestras, jazz players. 98% recognize to have some learning difficulty during their careers. That's a lot. This was the first discovering that I saw, not for my PhD. Before my PhD, I saw the same. And the second discovery is, if 98% of the professional players had learning difficulties, we can say that having learning difficulties is the way to become a professional player. That's nice. So, because when we face a learning difficulty, we can say, okay, I'm dealing with something that is part of being professional trumpet player. Some of them were not very big or huge difficulties, but for everybody is, okay, when I was 15, I started to develop problems to play high notes, or to play staccato, or to play slurred, or to play in the middle register. Every single trumpet player can relate some difficulties during his or her learning process. That's crazy. And because that, we cannot say that learning difficulties is a problem for a trumpet player. It's something that we need to understand, and we need to attend. And I thought at this time, how many trumpet players abandoned their careers because they thought that one learning difficulty was the end of the career, instead of thinking that this learning difficulty could be the beginning of the professional career. So this, I don't want to speak too much, but this was the beginning of the process.
It's amazing. And I mean, let's just dive right in, because I feel like I'm with you, and it makes a lot of sense, because I'm one of those professionals who had problems or learning difficulties, as you're calling them. And could we say that a definition of learning difficulties might just be like setbacks, something that was a problem that we had to solve? We could think of it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I use the word learning difficulties because it's the word that have been the tag for name this kind of situations in the schools.
Yeah, I'm only asking just because to make sure we're all on the same page about what you mean by that. That's all.
We are on the same page, but the meaning of the reason because I don't use the word problems is because I used to compare the situation of tagging any case in the primary school or in the university. If I want to tag a case as a problem case, it changes the way that I face this situation. Mm-hmm. Instead of learning difficulties or learning or methodology difficulties sometimes, because we have sometimes we think that we have a problem for playing the trumpet, but the problem is the approach, the strategy that we are using just to learn. If we have a learning style, for example, for some people it's very easy to use a chronometer to practice. Yeah, and they say, okay, I'm going to practice 5 minutes, and then I'm going to press 2 minutes, and then, but it is easy for somebody, but can be very difficult for another people. To me, it's very difficult to practice like this. So if I'm using the bad strategies that doesn't fit with my learning style, it's going to be very difficult to learn. But this is not a learning difficulty. This is a methodology difficulty.
I see. Yeah.
I prefer to go out from the word problem, because I don't focus on this situation that is problematic. Do we have this word in English? Problematic.
Yeah.
So I prefer don't to see the problematic situation. I prefer to see the context of the situation. And this is I took this word from pedagogy. learning difficulties.
Yeah, and it's actually I appreciate you going into it, because you are already, we're getting a sense that you're talking about these things, A, very specifically, and B, in a little bit different way than maybe most people might talk about it. So I think making sure, you like just knowing where you're coming from, I think is really important. But I feel like a lot of people will be like, and that frame is so important. The frame and the way we think about it is, if I think it as a problem, there's something wrong with me. If it's a learning difficulty, it is something that I can that frame makes all the difference. So let's say somebody is on board. They're like, all right, I believe you. It's just it's the beginning of my professional career. Obviously the next step is like, well, what do I do? Like, how do I solve this? So do you have, let's say, strategies that you would say, okay, let's start here. Let's try these things and see if they can. Obviously, everybody is different. It's all unique, but I kind of just want to see where you would go with the idea of how someone will begin the process of figuring things out.
Okay. It depends on the difficulty that you are facing, obviously. But I can say some tricks that it will sound really, really weird at the beginning, but it will make sense at the end. Okay. The first step is accept the situation and trust your professor. It's very common in the trumpet world to move to one professor to the other, and when you go with the other professor, with a different professor, to say, okay, everything that you probably they are not going to say it, but you can feel that everything that you learned was wrong. You learned in a wrong way. That's not true. The first thing is need to accept and understand that everybody that tried to help you gave his or her best to you. Probably you are learning something new now with this different professor. But the opportunity of being here was given by all the situations that you had in the past. The good situations and the bad situation. It sounds weird, but it is the first step to really just attend the situation, the learning difficulty. Because if not, around this learning difficulty, we have a lot of thoughts, a lot of emotions, a lot of, Second thing, or probably this was the first, I'm sorry, I forgot. Your human value doesn't depend on the trumpet. Is a good English?
Oh yeah.
Sentence this? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Your human value doesn't depend on your playing. Doesn't depend. In fact, your human value, your human description, when you are facing difficulties, you are more human now than before. Before you had another kind of difficulties, probably not in the trumpet. But now the trumpet is showing you that you are human. It doesn't takes off value. It's showing that you are human. It sounds weird, I understand, but this is the first steps. Those are the first steps. You are human, you are facing a human difficulty. You are not strange, you are not an alien. You were not an alien before, you are not an alien before, or you are not bad, or you are not talented now. You were not talented before. Yeah? So start to think that you are just dealing one specific situation in the trumpet. Yeah, I understand you love the trumpet. I understand for you is the most important thing. Okay, this situation arrive to your life to make you understand if the trumpet is the most important thing in your life, because you have a lot of things in your life. So is the trumpet the most important thing? Really? We need to understand this, because passion in music is very important. That before a human, before the trumpet, you are a person. I'm sorry. To me, it's very difficult to speak about these kind of things in English, but I hope the message arrives to the audience.
I'll share with you. I'll sort of repeat back to you what I'm hearing to see if I'm catching it.
Thank you.
Number one, the first thing is that the way I'm hearing it is that our value as people the trumpet has nothing to do with their value as people. And not only that, sometimes people, when they encounter difficulties, they feel less than. They feel that because they can't produce on the trumpet, somehow there's something wrong with them, and they have less value, because sometimes we get it mixed up. We think our value as people is how good we are at what we do, maybe. But you're saying not only is it not true that your value doesn't go down, actually your value goes up. In terms of now you're having a real human moment that you are dealing with this difficulty. And you didn't say this, but you would probably agree that the growth that you get from this will make you a more complete person. It'll make you more resilient. It'll make you more creative. So you actually, in some ways, this will do something. This overcoming this difficulty will do things that you wouldn't have without the difficulty. And
not just in the trumpet.
As a person.
Yeah.
And number two, that you need to accept that this difficulty is there, and that we can have our thoughts and our emotions about it, but thinking about it through that and assigning judgment to it only clouds the ability to actually deal with the problem. And then you also talked about trusting your professor as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
So does that feel like an accurate?
Yes, please. Thank you. You can keep doing this. And another thing that I saw during this process of attending learning difficulties is how the people make the past guilty of the difficulty. It's happening because my professor didn't teach me this, or this is happening because in the past I played a lot, or this is happening because somebody asked me to play 3 gigs in a row, you know? Yeah. Okay, probably we will find something that you need to learn that you were not doing well, but keep thinking about it is not going to help anymore. Yeah? So it's just accepting and thinking that everybody that was in your life, in your trumpet life, I'm 99% sure that gave you their best capacity of teaching, of helping. Yeah. I have met with many professors, and I can say that everybody is trying to do their best when they teach. Included me. I missed many different things in my career when I was teaching. If I compare my teaching now with my teaching 20 years ago, I could say, oh, why I was not teaching this to my students? Because I didn't know this.
Yeah, right.
I cannot be guilty if I was not conscious about this. Of course, I have to give my best now with my knowledge now. So it sounds strange at the beginning, but this is the first step to attend a situation. And when I'm professor, I need to be in the same starting point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm attending this student, so I cannot be guilty. I cannot feel bad because I cannot help him or her, because that's not going to make me better. My value as a person, my human value doesn't depend on if I can help more people or not. It was difficult to me to understand, because I was attending at the same time 60 cases of learning difficulties. Obviously, some of them were not a full success. You know, some of them failed. Many people in social media is saying that have the solution and is not going to. They are not going to miss any case. That's not true. That's not true. It's not possible. We need to be more human, because we are going to, when we are professors, we are going to miss to how to say it. We are not going to.
We're going to make mistakes.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
It makes me human, and I need to accept myself. And the success of my student is not the success of the people that is preparing or is attending the difficulties with me, because are not my students. The success of them are not my success. Yeah? That's very important too. When for people who is attending students. And I'm sorry, you wanted to say something?
No, I just had a question. I mean, I resonate a lot with what you're saying right now. And I think a big reason why is because I hold myself to a high standard as well as a teacher, you know? And it's just interesting. What I am not saying is that the success is mine, but I also believe that I am involved in the success, right? And so part of my desire to help people create that success is then what motivates me to keep digging and to keep learning and to make it so that 20 years from now, I know things that I didn't know at this current moment. So how do you balance, like, what's the balance like for you? How do you balance, I'm going to push myself to give the best information possible, but I also know that I'm not going to be perfect?
You just say, that's all. I'm going to give my best, but I will accept if I do some mistakes. It is giving my best doesn't mean to be perfect. Yeah? Because this concept of being perfect, I devoted my life to understand learning difficulties. I got braces during 2.5 years, and I didn't need braces because I wanted to understand what was happening. And I learned a lot from that, from this experiment, because it was the craziest experiment that I did.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that I will be that I will resolve any braces case because this. And when I start to attend somebody, sometimes I verbalize these ideas. I say, okay, I'm going to give my best, but it's not guaranteed. How you say?
Guaranteed, yeah.
Guaranteed that it's going to work, because some years ago, I tried to motivate my students and say, okay, don't worry, we are going to resolve it. And I needed to me was too much pressure at this moment. I needed, when it happened, I had to stop during 1 year because I got with anxiety after this.
Yeah. Because
it's not possible. We are human. We need to, I'm going to try. You are going to, after my explanation, please, you need to improve it. Okay, I'm going to try to explain one thing that happened to me in my life and changed the way that I understand this kind of therapy or specialized attention to learning difficulties. Before to the braces experiment, I went with a doctor, with a dentist. How you say?
Orthodontist.
Or orthodontist. But we have different specialties in Spain, and we say orthodontics. They have the dentist, people who attend and surgery, maxillofacial surgery. Mm-hmm. Is that correct in English?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about for the last one, but I don't know what that would almost be like hospital stuff, right?
Okay, so
I don't know.
He was specialized on this kind of surgery, but he was cleaning my teeth, because he has his own clinics and they attend many different cases. Yeah, and one dentist before him committed a mistake, and I was very close to lose one of my teeth. And I was complaining with him about the other dentist. Yeah, and yeah, because I cannot understand how it happened, because it looked very simple and he made a mistake, and I was trying to complain with him. Yeah. He's one of the best surgeons.
Surgeons.
Surgeon on this kind of very difficult situation. And he told me, okay, Jordi, I'm not going to say anything bad about any of my colleagues, because everybody who works with his hands can commit mistakes. It changed my trumpet pedagogy, because I thought, how many times we criticize the professors that this student had before. It's not needed to say your professors were bad.
Yeah.
It's just when we say, I cannot understand how your professor didn't teach this before, for example, or you should know this. Have you ever heard of this kind of sentences? You should know this. You should play this concert. You should, yeah. This kind of things that we say to the students sometimes is not directly criticizing our colleagues, but indirectly we criticize, and it's going to add more emotional problems to the learning difficulty.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
So we need to do the opposite. This dentist, when he was attending me at this time, this teeth, he didn't want it to criticize his colleague. They never meet. One was very recognized. The other one was one more in Valencia that was cleaning tooth. I was not losing all my teeth. I was losing one tooth. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I missed.
I got you.
Okay. So to me was a big change at this moment. So simple. I'm sorry. I talk too much about this, but very simple. Don't add more emotional situations to the learning difficulties, because having a learning difficulty is an emotional situation. It's difficult enough to add more difficulties to this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I'm coming back to the conversation, if I, as a professor, I'm adding more press to me because I have to resolve your problem, it's not going to help me to resolve the problem. Yeah, I don't want to add more emotional problems as a professor to your own problems. For example, another thing that to understand this, when we attend learning difficulties, at some point, or for some people, they think that if they don't resolve the learning difficulty, the problem, they are going to show this situation could be understood as a professor fail.
Right.
Can you improve it, please, in English?
Yeah. If I'm understanding you correctly, you're basically just saying, like, it could be seen like someone comes to me and I start working with them and I share the information with them that they did not know, or they have a problem that they worked on with a professor and it didn't get resolved with that professor, that the professor failed that student in whatever way that they needed them to succeed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But when this student is coming with you, sometimes can feel a lot of pressure because he wants or she wants to not make you feel like you are failing. as a professor. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is the reason, because I don't say your success is just your success.
Yeah. I see what
Because
you're saying.
I don't want to add more pressure to them, because sometimes they want to demonstrate
Yeah.
that your methodology is working.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It's too much difficult situation to explain with my bad English.
No. I think I understand what you're saying, that a lot of students want to be like good stewards and ambassadors of the teachers that came before. And so if they feel like they're getting this image or whatever that their professor failed, not only do they have to deal with the learning difficulty itself, which as you describe is an emotional event for them, but also they would then be carrying around they'll view it as their problem that the professor failed. Like they couldn't figure it out. Not that so that they're carrying around that I'm not making this professor look good, or I'm not making this professor proud of me, or something along those lines.
And it's going to happen the same with you when you are attending them. They want to fit all your demands, because they want to make the methodology work, to demonstrate that your methodology, the new professor methodology, is working for them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? So they are carrying many emotional situations. Some of them, it's not for everybody, but for many people is this. Okay, so how to solve it? To me, there are two specific steps to solve any learning difficulties before to change embouchure, to change the way that they are blowing out, to change the breathing. The first thing is, can you hear it in your imaginary sound? If you cannot hear it, the problem is not your biomechanics. The problem is the connection between the inner hearing projection and your biomechanics. This is my first question. For example, many people cannot play high notes. My first question is, can you hear it in your brain? Because if you cannot, your brain cannot produce the signals to move the muscles and the skin. And this is the second thing is the skin. I'm going to speak about this. That the first thing about biomechanics or neuromotor skills. Yeah.
Yep.
So biomechanics is not going to work if your inner hearing is not working. For example, I have my trumpet here. I'm not sure if the sound is going to be nice, but I'm going to try it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear it? Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So just repeat in your brain. Now, pianissimo. Now, one tone up. Can you hear it? This is the inner hearing projection. It's the same that you were hearing. Yeah?
Yep.
And now, hear it with the Chet Baker sounds. This sound, airy sound.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Can you hear this with air? Now with more Louis Armstrong sound. This kind of sound. Can you repeat it?
Mm-hmm.
This creation, this imaginary sound, you can create it in your brain. And it's the way that I'm using now to change the sound. Instead of thinking my biomechanics, I'm just putting a different sound in my brain, and my biomechanics, because are trained, reacts to my inner hearing.
Yeah.
But the first step is always the inner hearing. Some learning difficulties are easily solved when you just can hear this thing that is not happening in your bell. You can hear it just in your brain.
Yeah.
Okay? So let's continue. Repeat. It's easy. So let's go one octave down in my head. Is that easy?
Yeah.
It's the same. Okay? Same. Repeat. and 1 octave up. Can you hear it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just speaking to you, I'm speaking to the audience too. Mm-hmm. Okay, can you hear it now? 1 octave up. Which one is more clear, is easy to hear it? 1 octave down or 1 octave up? For many people, to hear the low C is much, to hear imaginary hearing, the lower C is much easier than hearing the higher C. So the problem, we cannot say that the problem is the biomechanics when the first step, that is hearing the sound, is blocked. So what I do with any student now is to work about their inner hearing during the attention of the biomechanics, okay? Because I do both at the same time. And now I'm training many professional players. And because it was very hard to me to attend to many cases of learning difficulties. And it affected to my playing at the end. It's very, very difficult to do it. And I moved to attend high performance players, is what I'm doing now, more than attending learning difficulties. And I use the same strategy for them. The first thing, I never change an embouchure before to do 5 steps. If we have time, I can speak more about this.
Who's got all the time in the world?
Okay. I have a theory about this. I want to try to explain the theory. Playing the trumpet and playing any musical instrument responds to this diagram, this idea. Okay. First step, and it happened also in the sports. First step is the imaginary action. In our case, is the sound. Second step is the biomechanics. And third step is the result. If the result fits with the imaginary movement, not movement, the imaginary result, the biomechanics will be automatized if you repeat enough. But what happens when you can reach a high note, but you didn't want it to do it? It was just something that happened. Yeah?
Yeah.
Luckily. Can you repeat it? Usually you cannot repeat it.
Right.
And the reason is because your brain has an ability to self-regulate your learning, but you need to want to do it and do it to fit the process. So this biomechanics will be automatized when the thing that you wanted to do happened in your bell. But usually we are more concentrated on the result instead of being concentrated on the imaginary result.
It's very fast.
Okay? And this is the way that our brain processes the information. It's not my opinion, it's not my idea. It's full demonstrated in sports. In sports, we have in basketball, okay? Do you like basketball? Okay, but have you ever seen a
of course,
game?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the way that the simplified way to explain the learning process of shooting basket, okay? When the player imagine the movement of the ball and the ball going into the basket, okay? Mm-hmm. This is the thing. Then they do the movement, his hands, his arms, and all the body, and the result, and it happened, and he gets the shot in, okay? Then his brain will repeat the action in the next try.
Right.
But if you miss the shot, your body will try to add some changes to the way to your biomechanics. But if you are not looking to the basket, even if you get the shot in, your body will not create any automatism. Do you understand?
Of course.
Because cannot recognize that the biomechanics were good, because the being conscient about the process. This is another thing that is very interesting. Sometimes about the understanding about being conscient is to feel our body. But being conscient about the learning is not about feeling the sensations of our body. That could be good for some situations, because to feeling our body too much sometimes is bad. That's another thing that I learned from the science and from my experience. We cannot be paying too much attention to the sensations. Being conscient about the process about our learning process means to be clear about what you want to reach before to reach it.
Yeah.
This is the definition of being conscient. Okay, this is the first step. Hearing clearly before to attend the biomechanics. Yeah?
Can I ask a question about that?
Huh?
Can I ask a question about that?
Of course.
I think I would love your take on this. I think what you just said is you want to be able to understand what it is you're trying to do before you do it, right? Can you talk about how much specificity you do or don't need with that goal? Like, does it need to be, is it the more specific it is it better? Or is it like actually the simpler, the better? Like, how do we know what a good thing? Here's a specific example. Like when you say, can you hear it? Like if you play a note, can you hear it an octave higher? And then can you hear it with a Chet Baker sound or a Louis Armstrong sound? Like hearing it an octave higher and hearing it an octave higher as Louis Armstrong, that's more specific, right? That it's Louis Armstrong. And then what kind of articulation you might want, it gets more specific. And in my mind, the more specific, the better. But you are the expert here, so I'm kind of curious like what your take is.
The more specific, the better.
Okay.
The kids that you can see developing very, very fast always can hear a very nice sound in their imaginary sound. So the way that it works when you play, when you teach, this is another thing for professors. I'm sorry. It's because I want to say too many things, and my English is not enough to say it.
This is amazing. You don't have to apologize. This is great.
Okay. Everything that you can say playing, don't say it with words. Because the imaginary sound will be much better if you play for your students. Instead of speaking about, you need to do a softer articulation. Yeah? Your student is doing, and usually we say, okay, now do the same but softer. Yeah, it's very simple, and we use a lot of words to explain. And for us, it's very common, it's very normal to do it. But it's much preferable just to play it. Yeah, he's or she is playing, and you can repeat and say, "I'm playing," and say, "Please, can you imitate?" Because when you play, your result converts in their imaginary sound. It's the way that the learning process when we imitate somebody. So in my pedagogy, we have always music references. If you are facing difficulties to play, I don't know, the second movement of Haydn. For many people, it's difficult to play the legatos. I will work with you with a recording of somebody who you like the music he plays or she plays. So you will put your headphones and you will play along with him or with her. So I don't trust in the imaginary sound of the students at the beginning.
Sure.
I prefer to be clear. And I use very simple exercises. So my answer is very specific. And you are going to see how much. I play, I don't know, 5 seconds. And then I ask them, now repeat in your brain with this sound, with this articulation, and not just the trumpet line. You need to hear all the music, you know? Can you imagine how specific? And you need to hear this orchestra, not your orchestra in your brain. This one, repeat in your brain. So, just this, huh? And I hear the whole orchestra and the trumpet inside this, you know? And then, another strategy is very simple. They are hearing, and I mute, and I ask your brain to complete these 2 seconds that are muted. Yeah? And then I unmute, and you hear again the real music, and I mute again. This is very simple, and I do this all the time during the process. So, as you can see, I'm not just attending biomechanics. In my case, in my research, I missed many years this inner hearing importance. And I cannot now be guilty of this because I didn't know. But now that I'm very clear about this situation, my first step, or at least my first exercises during a biomechanic attention, the attention of biomechanics, is always inner hearing projection.
Okay.
As much specific as possible. Second thing, I don't attend learning difficulties if the skin of the lips has problems. I have seen how easy can be attending flexibility difficulties, or first, do you know this hesitation problem?
Yeah.
Okay. So sometimes...
Just to define, I assume you're going to talk about when people are like about to start and then they kind of like wait for it. And it's kind of like instead of this easy in and easy out, there's kind of a wait or a hesitation.
Okay. So this is not a trick, and it's not going to be the solution. But before to attend the biomechanics, before to attend the movement of the biomechanics, I attend the health of our biomechanics. Yeah. So if our skin is dry because we live in a windy weather, and usually in a very cold weather, our lips gets dry. Mm-hmm. Have you ever felt this?
Oh yeah.
If we have a dry lips,
or like chapped lips or whatever, where it's kind of
it's very difficult to play the trumpet. So we shouldn't attend any difficulties, any learning difficulty, or any problem playing the trumpet if our biomechanics are not healthy. If we, for example, if we have a overuse syndrome, it's not the time to attend your difficulty. You need to rest. So first thing is being clear that inner hearing is the most important thing in a music learning process. And second thing is, if we want to improve or we want to resolve any problem, we need to be healthy. And we have basically two different three different layers of being healthy about our biomechanics. The skin is usually not attended. Yeah? But we used to think about skeletal problems or skeletal health and muscles health. But about these three levels, the most important thing is the skin. Don't forget the skin. That's very important.
Yeah.
So if you feel any problem here in this articulation, you need to visit a doctor, not a trumpet professor, because your body is giving you some signals of something that is happening here. If you feel that you cannot hold the embouchure at the beginning of the practice, you need to ask a specialist, because for many people, if you go to the I don't know how to say it, if you go to a restaurant and you want to learn Spanish, you need to go to a Spanish restaurant, and probably they can speak Spanish, but they are not going to teach Spanish. So if you come with me and you say, I have some problems here, I will say, okay, you need to visit a doctor, because I'm not the person who is going to help you. Sometimes we miss our functions. Is that correct in English?
Yeah.
We think that because we are trumpet professors, we should attend everything. It's not true.
Right.
Yeah. So the skeletal layer of this healthy biomechanics is attended by doctors usually. But everything is attended by doctors, but it's only attended by doctors. Muscle situation, muscle setting situations, we need to be sure that our biomechanics are stable enough to attend the learning difficulty, attend the problem. Sometimes we want to attend somebody who had overuse syndrome, making him training the trumpet. That's makes no sense.
Right.
So we need to rest and then see the symptoms. But what are the symptoms of overuse? Sometimes we don't know the symptoms, but we have specific symptoms of overuse that we can recognize. And if we don't know what are the symptoms, we are not knowing when to stop teaching or when to stop practicing. Okay? And the last layer is the skin. And that's the easier, but is the forgotten layer of the biomechanics.
Right.
It's not just put a little bit of how you say?
Chapstick.
Chapstick. We need to find the chapstick that doesn't inflammate our skin. I always speak about one case that I attended. I was attending one guy in Spain that was 3 months or 4 months trying to play, because the sound had this sound of air, involuntary, not Chet Baker sound, because he was imitating. He wanted to play classical music, and he played with this sound, yeah, fuzzy. How you say this sound?
Yeah,
it's like
fuzzy or yeah.
And we try to do bassing. The way that I bass is this. If you want to try it, instead of, I don't like this kind of bassing because I have no resistance of the trumpet. I prefer to do it here. I use the singing through the trumpet. I'm going to share with you a little bit of this strategy.
Okay.
I used many different strategies that worked for different students in the past, and anything was looking like working. One day I asked him, "Are you taking any medicine?" And because he had a lot of how you say this
Acne.
acne.
Yeah.
And he appeared to my lesson, to my studio 3 months after the first lesson and without acne. And this day I asked him, are you taking medicine for the acne? Yes, the last 3 months. You know what happened with this medicine? Dry the lips. So the problem started when he started to take medicine for acne. And one of the secondary effects, do you have this word in English? When you
Side
take
effects,
medicine,
yeah.
side effects. One of the side effects was drying obviously the skin, and he never had a problem, trumpet problem. He had a skin situation, a skin context that made him play bad.
Yeah.
That the problem was not the methodology, the problem was not him, the problem was not his preparation, the problem was the medicine that he was taking. This is a good example of how the healthy of my skin can be affected. And obviously, the result will be affected.
It's an interesting way of thinking about it. And I value this too. It's so funny you're talking about this. Before we got on, I was trying to film a YouTube video where I was talking about if you're having a bad day on the trumpet. The way I talk about it is there are 3 different questions you could ask before you decide if there's actually a problem on the trumpet. But my filters were 1, am I fatigued, right? You would say it as as the muscular, like, do I just need to rest? Is there not actually a problem? And if I just rest and try it again, it would be okay. The second filter for me would be, it's good to hear your filters because it could add more, but second filter is it too fast? Like if I went slower, could I be successful? And I just can't coordinate at the faster tempo yet. And then number 3, is this a new thing I've been working with and I just need a little more time for my body to learn it or to get used to it? But on either side of it, I'm sure I would be curious for your take if you feel differently or you have more to add. But I find them to be very helpful because you can separate what's a problem that I need to deal with and what's not a problem I need to deal with. What's a problem I need to deal with that's not trumpet related. Like you said, do I need to go to a doctor? Do I need to stop taking my medication? Do I need to rest? Do I need to get the picture in my head clearer? Like those are things that you can do that wouldn't just require hours of playing the trumpet, and it can save people and help them be more efficient. I don't know if you see it similarly, but it sounds kind of like that filter, I think, is a very valuable thing to have when navigating practice that doesn't feel good.
Yeah, and because the 98% of the professional trumpet players had learning difficulties,
yeah,
it means that it's going to happen to you. And it's not going to happen once in your life. It's going to happen many different times. So every single day is a new decision of how to organize your practice. And in sports, it's very common to have a coach.
Right.
Even if you are probably when you are, the better player you are, the more you need a better coach. So not because if you became the greatest soccer player, you are not going to say, okay, I don't need physiotherapist, I don't need muscle coach, I don't need, no. At this point, you need more than ever coaches. And the most specialized coaches. So in trumpet is different. When I'm going, I get better and better and better. I forget that I still need help all the time. So the thing that I'm seeing here now, when I'm teaching or I'm helping, or I don't know what word I have to use, professional players that can play much better than me. I'm attending now big names of the trumpet and other brass instruments. Okay. The thing is how to organize the practice. Mm-hmm. Sometimes or probably I could say ever, the most important thing to start is to meditate for 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Is the way that I start with professional players. I create now meditations, simple, very simple, not anything religious, anything, some simple meditations to face the different situations that they are going to happen. Accept, understand. And with this small change, all the practice changes. So the thing is, we need to understand how to help people to play better from two different sides. From the hardest learning difficulties or problems, and from the professional players that are playing every single day. Because sometimes it happened to me. I focused too much on the learning difficulties, and I forgot that these people wanted to play every single day in orchestras and gigs. Yeah. So resolve. Okay, I've resolved F major, and the sound of the articulation is nice. Yeah, but I have to apply this to play real music. This is the idea. So is that applicable to the stage? I'm going to play it. I'm going to use these new abilities in the stage today. No, because I have no gigs, because I was too focused on resolving my problems. So this is another thing that I'm doing now. If the person can play, because I attended and I'm attending now focal dystonia cases. Do you know focal dystonia?
Yeah. I would love for you to talk more about it, but I do know what it is. Yeah.
This is the hardest situation of a learning difficulty, in my opinion. Okay, and if they cannot play, I don't force the situation. But if you can play, for example, for many people, I'm attending focal dystonia, not a lot of cases, because for me it's very hard to do it now. I did it in the past, and it's very difficult. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of emotions arrives to me when I do this, and I need to be healthy to help others. You know, when you are in the plane and they say, put your own, how is that?
Put your own oxygen mask on before helping others. Yeah.
This is very important when you are a professor. You need to be healthy to help others. And I'm attending some cases that some of them cannot play. Okay. If you cannot play, I will not force you. But if you can play something very simple, I will never put all the attention on the difficulties. In my lesson, you will play and you will enjoy your playing. Because when we face learning difficulties, we waste a lot of time on the difficulties. And we are not using our time to enjoy the trumpet playing. Make it sense for you?
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, you cannot play triple tonguing, but you can play a slur. Okay, let's play legato music. Okay, you cannot play. And if you start to, it happened to me. Yeah? Okay, don't worry. We are going to work about this 30% of the time. The other 30% is going to use to create your imaginary sound. And the other 40% of the time is going to play music that you can play. Yeah. You cannot focus too much. Okay, you cannot play this, but you can play. Because it's legato and you can enjoy it. And don't play it thinking that if it was articulated, you couldn't do it. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Play it and enjoy it because it's music that you can play. Okay, you cannot play the trumpet, but you can play the piano. Okay, part of the attention that I'm going to give to your trumpet playing will be asking you to play the piano during my lesson. The thing that I saw in the hardest learning difficulties cases is that they lost the connection with the music.
Yeah.
So keep the connection with the music alive. This is the most important advice that I can give to anyone that is facing learning difficulties or problems with the trumpet. Okay, you cannot play the trumpet. It's okay. Learn to play the saxophone. And for some of them, they feel very bad when I ask this kind of things, because it looks that I'm saying that they are not going to resolve the trumpet problem, the trumpet learning difficulty. But the thing is, if they can connect with the music again, playing the piano, it's going to be much easier to re-adapt the inner hearing for the trumpet, because sometimes the inner hearing is completely blocked for the trumpet.
It's almost like it's a muscle or something, and you don't want to lose. You don't want to you want to keep strengthening that muscle, even if it's not on the trumpet for a moment. Of
course, yeah. And this is the cognitive ability to project the action that we are going to do. I wanted to speak something because you told me that we have all the time that I want, and I want to explain something. You can cut it after that.
No, we're not cutting anything. This is all too good.
But this can be something interesting. We say a lot that we are like sport players. Have you ever heard about this?
Like athletes, yeah.
We like to speak about this, but we have no coaches when we are good players. So we say that we are like athletes, but our behavior, social behavior, are not like athletes. When athletes has a competition, they don't drink. When athletes has to train, they don't eat too much. So we like to speak about how sports and music are very similar. But if we really want to speak about this, we need to do it with understanding the science behind the sports. If you see a game, 50 years old game, soccer game, or basketball game, and you see the game this weekend, you can see many differences in the same sport. The worst team of the NBA 50 years ago, the worst team of this season NBA would win to the winner of the 50 years ago NBA. Yeah. Why? Because they applied the science to the sports. And the players 50 years ago were drunk one day before to the game, and now it's not possible. Yeah, for example, or the science, they had a lot of experiments to understand how the accuracy of shooting can be developed to the players. If we see a game of 50 years old game, we can see some players that could have like 25%, 30% on the 3 points line. And now, mostly the most of the players can have 60, 70% or 90%. How it happened? The human being has improved a lot in the last 50 years? No. The thing that what happened was science in sports. So we need to start to apply science and common sense to the sports. If they are feeling bad, they are not going to go to the training. They are not going to play the game. So if you feel very bad and you go to play the gig, you are not applying the common sense. Yeah. So if we want to speak about how sports and music are similar or are very the same, mostly the same, we need to really think as they did. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And another thing that is important is, okay, we can compare sports and music, but we need to know something. Sports has the imaginary movement, the biomechanics that is a movement, and the result that is going to be another movement. Okay? But in music, biomechanics is a movement also. I'm blowing, this is a movement. I'm moving my fingers, this is a movement. Okay? But the imaginary process is a sound, and the result is going to be another sound. Okay?
Right.
So sports are a little bit easier because the imaginary action is a movement. The thing that I'm going to do is a movement, and the result is going to be another movement. It's very easy to transfer the imagination to the biomechanics and the biomechanics to the result. In music, it's a little bit more difficult because we need to imagine a sound that is going to be created by a movement, and the result is going to be another sound. So the importance of hearing is much. We need to be more conscious about the imaginary process than the athletes, because for the athletes, it's easily transferable. Is that word correct?
Yeah.
It's easily transferable to see. You imagine the trajectory, the movement of the ball, and you can see the ball moving when you do your biomechanics. But in the trumpet, specifically in the trumpet, you cannot see anything. So you can see the 50% of the movements that you are doing. So it's very important to be clear about this. Yes, we can apply the science, we can compare sports and music, but we need to be clear that the process is different. The sports use cinematic. Do you have this word, cinematical energy? Cinematic energy? Kinetic.
Kinetic. Yeah.
Kinetic, I'm sorry. Kinetic energy, Mm-hmm. So our imagination is kinetic, or biomechanics is kinetic, and the result is kinetic. That, in our case, sound is an energy and is the same, okay? Light is an energy, kinetics are energy, sound is an energy. So we need to imagine the sound, or kinetics will create another energy. We transform the kinetics or movement on energy sound. I'm not sure if my English is enough to explain this.
I'm going to try to summarize it because I think it's an incredible point. Like you're saying, there are a lot of parallels between sports and music, and like we could set aside how sports, like when they have the level is so high that it requires a certain, like today the level is so high, and we can see that the level has changed over the years because they pay attention to science, and there's just the competitive advantage that's involved will make them. I want coaches, so I have the best strategies, and I'm going to take care of myself in terms of diet and rest and making sure that, I'll do mental training. Like they're doing all of the things so that they can produce at the level that they need to produce, and that we should, as musicians, take some of that as seriously as they're taking it. That's part of what I heard you say. But then the other part of it is that everything in sports is a movement. So like I visualize throwing a ball and then I throw the ball, that's a movement. I visualize a moving ball, and then the ball is moving, and then someone catches it, that's a movement. But with us, we have to transfer the movement of the biomechanics of creating the sound, but the conceptualizing of the sound is what's guiding the biomechanics. So we can't divorce ourselves from the practicing of and the taking seriously of being able to imagine your sound and having that be as much, or probably you would say more of our focus in terms of like, what are we aiming at? Because it needs to guide the biomechanics, and there's a transition in there that's not the same thing. And so in a way, it's more easily transferable in sports to visualize a certain thing happening, because the visualization for us is not a movement.
Yeah, thank you. You improve a lot my message.
It's all good.
So can you see how I'm not speaking about biomechanics, but we were the steps before to attend the biomechanics. So I'm pretty sure if my English was enough, and with your help and with your explanation, it's going to help many people. These two ideas of take care of your muscle, your skin, this is going to help to many people. And very simple trick. If you have a dry lips, you can use, that's I'm not joking. Yeah? You can use olive oil during your practice. Before to attend anyone, before to do any other strategy, I ask them to put a little bit of olive oil or any oil, organic oil, to your lips during your playing, because I can be sure that your lips are not dry. It's not comfortable, but it's useful to diagnose, as you said before, if the problem is on the skin. If you improve a lot just with this, your problems were not on your flexibility. Right. Obviously, your flexibility with dry lips is going to be very difficult. So this trick, for example. So I lost my point, but the thing is before to start to practicing, we need to be sure that we can hit it and that our biomechanics are healthy. Yeah. And then we can apply different strategies. I want to show one of them that many people is using now, and I have recorded some videos and people who is using this strategy, as Caleb you named before, he recorded one video about this, found the strategy very useful. Okay, and it's a mix between the inner hearing and a specific exercise. Yeah? It's very simple. It's just sing through the trumpet. We have heard how important is singing to play the trumpet. And we used to say that singing and playing is the same. It's not the same. Okay? Are different things, but we can use some parts of the singing to play the trumpet. The first strategy after being sure or working on the inner hearing and being sure or working about the skin health, the first step, trumpet step, instead of attending the embouchure, changing the way that they are blowing, changing the way that they are breathing, is just singing through the trumpet. For example, I'm dealing with flexibility. I'm now like, this is not my playing, okay? I'm trying to show one case of flexibility. Okay. This kind of difficulties. Okay, first of all, before to speak, before to explain, before to change, I ask, sing it through the trumpet. Why this strategy likes me a lot? Because if you cannot hear it, you cannot sing it. So it shows me easily if you can hear it, and then people start to do this, ta or tu or tu. No. What I'm speaking is this. If they move a lot, they used to do this. Yeah. So singing, because if your body recognize your mouthpiece in your lips, will reproduce all the automatisms that you have when you play. So it's a very interesting strategy because you can solve some problems that you want to solve playing just singing. So I can ask, okay, can you sing it keeping the same pressure on the lips? Can you try to imitate yourself? It's not that easy, but it starts to change little by little. But I didn't explain the tongue movement. I didn't explain the throat movement. I didn't explain anything. I gave you a reference, and I made you just copy yourself. So I use as less teaching. I use as less words as I can. And this exercise helped me a lot to evaluate where the problem is. And sometimes just singing through the trumpet, the problem gets solved.
How do you do it?
How
do you do it in the upper register? Like if someone's can't sing, eventually they can't sing that high.
I use falsetto depending on the voice. I use falsetto or I change the octave. When I sing the piccolo, I always sing in the lower octave.
Okay.
For example, and for women or people with very high voices, I do the opposite. I make because this is a problem with the kids. Kids usually cannot play high notes because they sing. But they sing.
So then how would they get higher than that? Yeah.
Okay. No, but not because this is the same note that I'm playing, because it's a soprano instrument. So the kid's voice fits with the right range, fits with the trumpet range. So for them, it's very easy to hear the trumpet in the same range. And the first thing that I do with kids is change the range. And I teach them, okay, you cannot sing this note. You are right. This is the note that you are playing. But because we want to play higher, you are not going to be able to sing it higher. And I change the brain connection between the notes. And I start to sing, da, da, and they sing, da, 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 for them,
Yeah.
Play. Usually when they sing, da, 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 they play. And I say, no, we need to connect your lower range, your lower vocal range with your medium range in the trumpet. This is going to solve many problems for people who cannot play high notes. Usually, for you or for me, probably, this could be the same.
Yeah.
But this is not the same. This is the same note.
Oh, okay.
Many people have connected this with because really they are right. Is the correct connection. But to play the trumpet, we need to connect a lower one octave down vocal range to the real range of the trumpet.
That makes sense.
I'm not sure if I explained this.
Oh, it makes. I can repeat it to see, but basically, like essentially taking the actual note you would sing and moving it down an octave does two things. One, it like reframes. The main thing it does is it reframes like the notes so that you have the capacity to actually be able to vocalize the upper register in a way where your ear can visualize it and connect with it. That's like the main thing. But it also, I guess that's like the main big thing. It seems like is just having, so you can vocalize and have access to the upper register versus if you already start really high where the note actually is, you don't have much room above that. So it's hard, then you lose the ability to sing and like visualize or hear the notes in your head.
Exactly. And because singing and visualizing, or I prefer hearing the notes instead of visualizing, because the real ability is to create an imaginary sound. Okay, this is the reason. I don't want to correct you. I'm sorry.
This is why we're here.
Okay, I'm just explaining why I prefer to the word hearing instead of visualizing.
Yeah.
Because this relation is very close between hearing and singing. We can improve our hearing abilities when I sing a lot, obviously. But I need to sing in an octave that make me possible to imagine the sound.
Right.
You said it perfect. I'm explaining your explanation. Okay. So the thing is, if I want to play high, I can sing. But I can also connect. Yeah, did you see the fingering? Mm-hmm. That's important because sometimes when we sing low, we do. So we are connecting with the lower range.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'm more comfortable because I'm thinking that I'm singing in the medium range.
Yeah.
So if I want to play and I feel a little bit forced or blocked, sometimes the first solution is going to be because this high C will feel closer to my medium
Yeah,
C.
it's an interesting way of doing it. Like, it makes sense to me because it's all based on like what the image in your head is. So if the image in your head is it's in this middle comfortable register and you are able to connect it, it makes sense how then your body would respond that way, where you're not going to tense up because you think it's high, because you're visualizing or hearing that it's more in that register that's comfortable for you. It's interesting. That's a really interesting way of thinking about it, for sure.
You can try it. And at the end, you have to choose. I prefer you cannot sing the lower range with kids, because when you change this, they cannot sing the lower notes. But I say, okay, imagine that you are singing. If the same, for the kids is this, but descendant is you cannot sing it, of course. So I always say to them, don't worry, I prefer you cannot sing the lower notes, but you can sing the higher notes. And in fact, when with kids and with learning difficulties, I never start in the lower register, because the setting that it creates for the lips is not okay. This is another point. This is a very important point. Our brain has the ability of self-regulates the learning, okay, by connecting the inner hearing projection to the result. But this self-regulated is not created to be efficient. It's just created to be effective, to have effect, to have results. So during this process, you can adopt many different bad habits. And what I'm doing to solve this is not speaking about this, because I don't like to speak during the lessons. I adjust the difficulties to them, but it means that the difficulties have to be, and that can be something weird at the beginning. The difficulties have to be bigger enough to don't allow you to create bad habits. For example, instead of teaching kids to play the simple tonguing very slow at the beginning, the first exercises with simple tonguing for the kids are fast. Why? Because your brain is going to self-regulate the tonguing, okay? But if I give you this exercise, I'm allowing your system to automatize tension in your tongue. But if the difficulty that I'm asking to your system is this, probably it's going to take more time to you to do it, but the system will not be able to create tension during the process. Because if the system has tension, cannot reach the goal that you have. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
Sometimes the difficulties are too low and the system cannot regulate with efficiency. So I apply this to the high performance training, but I apply this with the learning difficulties is a kind of a strength. For example, instead of teaching, I have a book to teach this singing through the trumpet. I'm going to send you the link if you want to share it. And instead of being this kind of flexibility, I skip one harmonic. And the reason is because skipping one harmonic obligates to the system to be more effective, more efficient. And when it self-regulates the biomechanics, it's going to be more efficient and it's going to be useful. Because if not, sometimes we are solving one problem and creating another one. Have you ever seen this? Yeah, the student solved the flexibility problem, but created a tonguing problem because solving the flexibility, the tongue adopted a lot of tension. You know?
Yeah.
So I prefer to use very difficult exercises. And probably the last thing that we can speak today about is another trick to organize your practice. Sometimes for some players, it's very nice to have this 5 minutes of breathing exercises, 5 minutes of, and this checklist is nice. If you have this learning style, keep doing. But speaking about endurance, endurance to be able to play more and more hours. How do you?
Oh, endurance, yeah.
Endurance, yeah. Okay. Many people want to do very strange exercises, like holding something in the middle of the lips. Have you ever seen this?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not saying that it's bad. You can do it, but you need to know a lot about muscles if you want to do it safe. You are not going to go to the gym and do like random exercises, no? So I will not recommend to do random exercises with any of these devices. This is the first thing. So this is a very simple trick to get more endurance when you play. It's very simple. Play very, very long exercises in the middle range. Okay? For example, instead of playing if you can see, I organize the flexibility in a different order. I could explain why. But I'm playing a short exercise and move chromatically, okay? Basically. It's much preferable if you want to get more endurance, play the exercise to the end of the breath. It's not my playing. I'm trying to show what is going to happen. Probably the first part is going to be much better than the last part. Why? Because you are used to just play short phrases. And what's the problem when you play real music? What are the problem? The big phrases, the long phrases, or the shorter?
Yeah, the long ones, obviously.
And how many times we play longer phrases when we practice? Usually not the most.
I mean, especially not in exercises like that, right? Maybe you might play an etude and that goes longer, but on something like this, they usually are all pretty short.
Okay, so the way that I would study this would be or the low octave, okay? But longer. And then try to keep it with high quality vocalizing during the long exercise is very difficult. And what will happen when I play real music? If I lose my vocalizing, I'm going to use more lips and more lip action, and I will get obviously more tired.
Yeah.
Okay, so I prefer to play. And create variations or whatever that creates a long exercise, a very long exercise. This trick is going to give you a lot of endurance, and you don't need to do strange or rare things with your lips to create. So this is very important because many players ask it to me how to get more endurance, because when my first 15 minutes are very good and then I cannot play with quality. Have you ever heard about this?
Sure.
So playing long exercises. In my opinion, we have two options to get more endurance. First one is have more muscles, have more strength, have better balances in our playing. And second, I want to give you an example. If you have the double strength, you will play instead of 15 minutes, you will play 30 minutes. Yeah, but we can play today 60 minutes. How? If you create more muscles, but if you use the 50% of the energy.
Right.
Okay. If you use the 50% of the energy, you will be able to play double time. And this is not easy, obviously, not today. I was joking about the day, yeah. But if I would be able today to use the 50% of the energy, today I will play 30 minutes. And if I would be able to develop the double of my muscles today, I would play 60 minutes,
right,
yeah, in total. So I think that every single day practice should be to create better balances in my playing, not just here. We have muscles in the whole body. We used to think too much here in my face, but the first is here in my brain. My face will respond to the sound that I'm hearing, or will not respond, yeah? And we'll have to invent this, yeah, if I'm not hearing. But we have, to me, the embouchure is here, but is here, but is here, but is here, but is here in my emotions. I have emotions about my embouchure too. So when we are changing the embouchure, we think here too much. And when we change the embouchure, we should start here. We should start with the emotions. I spoke at the beginning about this, and be clear that it's not a problem. Changing the embouchure is not because you are a bad human being.
Right.
You have not human problems. You have learning difficulties in the trumpet. But after this, understand that embouchure starts in the imaginary sound. You know the pedagogy of Sikovich. And Sikovich learned about with Arnold Jacobs, imaginary sound. 50, 60 years ago, we knew about this. And they didn't have the information. They have some scientific information, but they have the most important information that you can have, your own experience. And I never met him, but I'm completely sure that these discoveries were done in their own practice.
Right.
Yeah. And they should notice that when he could hear a better sound, he could play better. So some discoveries that I can read in the last papers in internet that you can get access to, because are open in internet to read it, are very, very similar to the Arnold Jacobs discoveries 60 years ago.
Yeah, that's cool.
And some of the discoveries of Jacobs, I'm not sure that they apply to the sports, but in the 90s and 25 years ago, the science in sports had a lot of money. Our problem is we have no interest in real science. Not you and me. The conservatories and universities world have not too much interest on real science, applied science to the performance practice. And if they have interest, they have no money.
Yeah.
In sports, they have a lot of money to understand the brain, to understand the emotions. They have, I cannot say that we have thousands of papers, but these papers have the 20% of the information than the sports players have during a game. So because the teams, the different teams that research about this, doesn't share the information.
Yeah.
They sell the information to the players or to the teams. But when you read these kind of papers based on imaginary movements on sports, on the result, on not paying attention to the sensations, you can read the discoveries of Arnold Jacobs. That's impressive. And it's just because he paid attention to the process. I'm not a Jacobs fan. I'm just saying that we have this information. We have books, brass pedagogy books, speaking about this. It's very famous, this book of The Inner Game of Tennis. Have you ever? Okay. So we just need to apply this information.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is not new. Could sound like new, but I'm not. And I discovered some of those things without knowing Jacobs' theories. I didn't know the Jacobs' theories, but we arrived to the same point. But it helped me a lot to read the books of Jacobs, to read The Inner Game of Tennis, because it improved a lot my thoughts about this. And I don't know. I think that the key to attend difficulties or to be coach of high performance players, it's going to be a job in the next years. And it's going to be difficult because social media, we have a lot of information and you can hear a lot of things and many people repeating something that heard from another. And that's okay. It's nice to quote, how you say, citations.
Yeah.
It's nice because sometimes I can hear some of my explanation. I don't want to sound selfish. How you say this? I want to sound
egotistical.
I don't want to sound like this, but I can. Sometimes I hear some of those things, and it's nice to get citated. But that's not the main point. The main point is the scientists that help it to improve the sports. They really know what they were doing. We need to go with people that really knows what they are doing. Mm-hmm. That's very important because sometimes students arrive with me with emotional problems. I cannot play this game of being doctor, I cannot say that I'm a psychologist. I always say, okay, I cannot, if you want to speak and you need to speak with me, okay, I can hear you. But these probably are not problems related with the trumpet. These problems are related with your, the things that you live in the past. I can hear it. I prefer not hear it because sometimes to me, it's difficult to manage these situations.
Yeah.
So what I did was create a team And I was very lucky to found 3 psychologists that help me to attend people who have emotional difficulties, because I cannot do it. I cannot play this role because it's lying people, you know. So I'm PhD and I'm doctor, but I'm not a medical doctor. I cannot play the role of diagnosing situations because I can do mistakes, and sometimes these mistakes, I can make mistakes, I'm sorry. And sometimes these mistakes can affect the people. So it's very difficult, my friend, to find the balance between being professor, being trumpet player, being, being a specialist of this. I lost you.
Yeah, no, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I mean, this has been amazing. You have shared so much. Is it okay if we sort of like put a pause here and maybe come back? There's just so much to dig through, and so much for me to think through. I mean, you have said some things that this is not my interview, so we will do this, but you have said some things that have gotten me thinking about the way that I go about coaching and the way that I go about helping evaluate people's ways that they're going and doing things. And a lot of it lines up with things I've been learning because it is like the science that is out there, but you've framed it in a musical way that is, it's very intriguing to me to think about how to apply some of these things. So I really appreciate you being so willing to just kind of share your approach and your methodology of how you go about and like what motivates you kind of underneath it. I really appreciate it. I feel like it's going to be at least for me, I can say it will be a very valuable, the information is very valuable. And I know for people who are stuck in practice sessions, just having some ways to think about how to navigate it, I think is also going to be very valuable as well. So I thank you so much for being so generous with me and us today.
Thank you. I'm very happy. I would like to have a better English to explain myself a little bit better, but I hope it's enough. And I will be here for, if you need something, I will try to help. And it's that we cannot adopt any other behavior that is not sharing the information, because we need to as a community, we need to grow up, and this is going to happen when we really do the things with passion, with a good emotions, but also we need to improve the way that we discover things and the way that we communicate. And I did many mistakes in my life teaching. I commit. Can you use this word, commit mistake or not?
Yeah.
Did mistakes. Okay.
Yeah, make mistakes.
And I'm still learning every day how to improve. And I think that if I can share this and somebody can use it, is going to do less mistakes probably.
Yeah.
Because it's not needed to repeat the mistakes again and again, generation and generation. Makes no sense. So thank you for having me here. Thank you for having this channel to share your ideas, the ideas of other colleagues with that generous style that you have. And thank you for hearing me and for helping me to explain my own ideas.
Well, I was going to ask too, if there's anyone listening and they're really connecting with what you're saying, or maybe they were hoping to have something clarified, is there a way somebody could get a hold of you that you would feel comfortable with?
Yeah, I have my Instagram account that usually is easy. I have a Facebook account too. They can contact with me, and I can give you my email. That is Jordi Albert, my name, at jordialbert.com.
Great.
You can find in my webpage some information. I'm not putting too much attention to my webpage, but you can contact using my webpage also.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, Jordi is a huge wealth of knowledge. And so if it seems like he obviously wants to help and share these ideas and things. So I assume you're also very busy, it sounds like. So hopefully within some sort of reason, I think, he's there if you want to reach out and tell him how much you enjoyed this conversation. I also want to thank Brandon Yoakum for his work on mastering this episode of the podcast. You can check out Brandon at epiphanyrecordingstudio.com. And most of all, I would like to thank you for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next one.